One of the most disappointing openers in West Virginia history has come and gone. A lot of smack was talked. A lot of crow is going to be eaten. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and you're watching Locked On West Virginia. I signed into the wrong account and don't have any of the graphics. I don't have any of the music because I have two StreamYard accounts, so we're just going to roll with it. So let's see. I don't know how to put this. I'm upset, man. I really wanted to have some kind of impassioned speech ready, something to say. But at the end of the day, man, there was a lot of build up to this game, and a lot of people came in here with their hopes up. I think, I picked West Virginia to win this game as a homer. I knew coming in that we were the inferior team as far as, from a physical standpoint. I did think our offense could move it. That was a pretty shocking thing, but it was one of the most disjointed, hanky-janky, officials missing calls, stoppages, people getting cramps kind of games I've ever seen. Like it was, if you were looking to be in rhythm out there today, this was not your game. Surprisingly enough, the West Virginia defense played well enough for them to be in this game. That touchdown at the end of the half was unacceptable. You take that one away, and then, the defense made the stops to put West Virginia in the game offensively, and they just didn't do it. So it's unfortunate, man, but a lot of people are going to come down hard on Neil Brown for this. And, there's two ways to look at this, in my opinion. Number one, the team wasn't ready to play. They weren't ready to play. They played a better team, but they also weren't ready to play. Both things can be true here. But there was a lot of hype, and not living up to that is going to have some lasting effects, right? And for me, I just have to look at this from a big picture standpoint. There's a lot of season left, man. There really is. But a lot of people aren't going to let them live it down. But, Neil Brown's never won a big game at West Virginia. I think that has a lot to do with this as well. It's really frustrating, man. Looking at the stats in this game, Drew Aller was 11 of 17. He completed 11 passes. That was it. He had 3 touchdowns, 216 yards. He could have had more if he wanted. They didn't need it in the second half. Singleton killed us, 13 carries, 114 yards, and a touchdown. Harrison Wallace, once again, they really only had one receiver that could get open. I'm not saying that could get open, but they only needed one guy. They didn't even need to go to other options. So Garrett was 15 of 28, 161, no touchdowns, no picks. He could not get into the open field to scramble, very similar to last year's game, where his speed just wasn't a factor. Jaheim White, C.J. Donaldson combined held under 100 yards. So they, overall, they put a worse performance together on paper than last year. They really did. There were some more bright spots in last year's game in a lot of ways. It was a 14-7 quarter in the third quarter of that game. Preston Fox had a couple nice catches. Traylon Ray was in the game, made a couple catches. A lot of drops in this game as well. I think people need to recognize that before we come down too hard on Garrett Green. But it was just overall a terrible performance. I mean, it really was. Wyatt Milam going down didn't help things at all. It actually hurt. So that's just unfortunate all the way around, man. I know I've said that a couple of different times, but there was a lot that went against us today. We also got some good calls as far as like the offense, the on offense with a couple of the penalties that we got in our favor. But man, it was really tough. Thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. And I just want to say, guys, you guys have supported me through a switch to Locked On, and I just want to thank you for that. Um, we're going to have a lot to hash out over the next week, so there's going to be a lot to talk about, as we dig into it. So just get ready for that, because there was a lot of disappointing things in this game. I think number one, first and foremost, for me, the most disappointing thing in this game was the game plan. I didn't like the way Jordan Leslie played. Really sold out to stop the run, let Allard get into a rhythm. That's the same plan they had last year, and it didn't work last year either. Secondly, some of the play calls were rough, but at the end of the day, they just couldn't get any rhythm. A lot of horizontal movement against a team that was just way faster. There was so much buildup to this game, and I think it played a part. I don't know how big of a part. I really don't. But I do think it played a part, and whether or not this team can rebound is going to be tough to say. It's hard for me to get to the comments, guys. There's like 300 people in here right now, so I'll try to read them as we go. Jerry Bolt says Brown is a good man, but an average coach. On his best day, he was never the answer. I just think that I just think, man, people are going to overreact, That's just what it is. People are going to overreact to this. I said it earlier. Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama last year, and they ended up pretty good with a very similar team that we have. I really think they had a good running game. They had a decent defense. Our defense played well enough to keep us in this game. They really did. I mean, they got several stops when it was 27 to – what was it? Let me look here again, 26. Yeah, I think it was like, I want to say 27 to 12. And they got a couple stops when it was 27 to 12. You're in the game at 27 to 12. It's not out of reach at that point. But our offense could not cash in. Just couldn't do it, and at the end of the day, their defense was too much for us. I thought we'd be able to move the ball. I really did. On defense, Josiah Trotter really stood out. If you want to look for a bright spot, somebody to look towards the future with, Josiah Trotter played a pretty good game for a redshirt freshman. He really did. I'm looking for some of the stats here on defense. Let me just check here. More about this game. Player stats. West Virginia. Okay, defense. They only have the offensive stats up. Well, it looks like they've only got the offensive. There's some deep. Yeah, they don't have anything on defense yet. So I'll have to wait until they add that. But I felt like Josiah Trotter really played well at some points today to be a redshirt freshman. They even put the communication helmet on him. What the hell? We had a lot of players go out of this game, though. Gene White went out at one point. Wyatt Milam is a big story, guys. I don't know what's going on. Have we heard? Has Neil Brown said? Because I don't know, man. Has Neil Brown said what's going on with Wyatt? Unbelievable. He had such a tough job today, with Carter. And Carter didn't get to the quarterback until Wyatt went out of the game, So let's make that really clear. I felt like he held up really well against Carter. They did have to bring people over to Chip once he was out, so that sucks. But you know what? It is what it is. If people were trash talking, I mean, I really can't even keep up with it. I really can't. There's so much flying by me right now. Too many people. All right, so I don't have any of the infrastructure here to do my ad reads, but I'm going to do them anyway. I mean, worst case scenario, they're just going to tell me I did wrong. But I signed into the wrong StreamYard account, so I don't have any of the stuff I need. So I'm going to read the first ad really quick, y'all. Today's video is brought to you by Factor Meals. Fuel up with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are we waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore. Crush your wellness goals this May with dietitian-approved meals and ingredients you can trust. Make your day delicious, from breakfast to dessert. Stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. Treat yourself to restaurant-quality meals that feature premium ingredients like filet mignon, shrimp, and blackened salmon. Keep kitchen time to a minimum because Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. Enjoy effortless support for your lifestyle because you can choose from 6 menu preferences to help you manage categories and maximum protein intake. Avoid meat or simply eat well balanced. Head to factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 and use code LOCKEDONCollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That's code LOCKEDONCollege50 at factormeals.com/lockedoncollege50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. Okay, guys, so obviously people are going to trash talk. Just try to remember, I was even losing my temper a little bit. Because what bothers me is because Penn State fans are really, truly elitist acting people. Like, I can't stand for somebody to act like they're better than somebody else because of what's going on a football field. It makes no sense to me. It really doesn't. But that's how the majority of them acted. I would not do that. Where the tables turned, I would congratulate Penn State. I realize the trash talk happens. I'm not saying that. There's another level to it where they try to get personal and insult intelligence, or try to talk about, like in the concourse area whenever everything was all packed. The one former Penn State player, I can't even remember his name, starts with an L, said, "I bet it stinks in there," and then you've got people saying it's because of their sister. Just ridiculous, so immature. Like, I don't understand it, man. So just try to reason. You can't reason with it, but I have to ignore it personally, because if I engage with it, I'm going to make myself look even more stupid. That's just me. Never about on the field I did. Absolutely. That's part of it. But as far as talking about people's heritage, where they're from, any of that kind of stuff, it means nothing. Basically, Penn State fans are like those people off South Park that smell their own farts. That's what that reminds me of, like how they respond to those things. Jada K, Ren better be working on a new head coaching list. Yeah, I'm not going to go there yet. It's overreaction time. I can see that. Camera just fell off here. Brown's doing the best he can, and he's a below-average coach, and he's not going to quit making all that money because someone will have to fire him. Look, I get it. As far as what he's done so far as a coach is definitely leaving a lot to be desired. It has, I just have to – I want to be patient and let the season play out, If we win 9, 10, or 11 games, nobody's going to remember Penn State. They may remember it, but it's going to be a lot worse of a memory, So it's all out in front of the team. And believe it or not, something that people don't like to hear is these kids read social media, So it's within my control to what I say, and I'm trying not to personally attack any of these kids, but it's tough, especially when they don't play well or do something wrong. So Pat McAfee didn't say that. Actually, his co-host said it. He didn't agree with it. So kind of get that right. What are we supposed to do, David? It's a football game. There was a ton of buildup. It's like they put us in a situation to where not only did Pat McAfee come back with all the West Virginia former legends, they also Big Noon Kickoff came, and this was like basically a week-long affair because he talked about it all week on his show. Of course, we're going to engage in it. Coming off a 9-win season, anybody would be hopeful after returning all that. No team in the country would not have fans that were excited about the season following a year when you won 9 games. So, of course, what are you supposed to do? Bow down? So, at the end of the day, you've got to put some effort into the trash talk aspect of it. But once it's over, you have to reassess everything that's happened. We didn't play well, but I do think there's a world in which we look back at this and say we overreacted. There's also a world where Neil Brown's fired, and somewhere in between. I'm just saying it's all still out there to happen. That's all I'm saying. They were top 3 defense last year in the nation, and they didn't lose much. Why would you think they could move the ball consistently? Fanboy and realistic expectations? Not really. Not really. I completely disagree. We see top defenses get shredded every year. It happens every year. I can count on probably all my hands and toes how many times West Virginia has shredded a top-ranked defense. I can go to Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl, Clemson in the Orange Bowl, which they weren't really a top-ranked defense. But it's not like it hasn't happened. So, and to think that going into a game that you're not going to speculate or hope or dream about something like that's ridiculous. Flat out ridiculous, Rich. I think they'll get it going against Albany next week. I think my opinion is I don't want to be Albany. Everybody's saying we're going to lose to Albany. I think I don't want to be Albany, because I think this team is probably going to get some frustrations now on the Albany team. Although I do respect them, they lost pretty much everybody off that team that went to the FCS semifinal last year. I think it might have been. I can't remember exactly, but I don't think they're the same team they were last year. Now, if it was that team, you have a better point because I think they were sort of in the North Dakota State type team, but I'm not really sure. We'll have to look into it this week. No, I don't. Garfield, I don't. It's successful in that your kids get to go bowling, I guess, but not at West Virginia. No, I personally, look, I grew up in the mid-2000s, so maybe I'm just being unrealistic, but I do think it's not unrealistic to expect your team to contend for the conference championship once every couple of years. I'm not saying it has to be every year, but we're on a pretty equal playing field with everybody else in the conference. There are some things that are slanted in the other's favor because our recruiting budget and everything used to be all screwed up because of the travel. But with NIL, like Pat McAfee just gave us $1 million. We still have all this publicity. If we continue to win, we'll still keep it. Even though we lost this game, he might be out on us for a couple of weeks as far as he can't justify talking about West Virginia on the McAfee show like he did this past week. But if we win a few games, let's say we roll into Kansas 3-1 or whatever, maybe 2-1. I can't remember if we played 2 or 3 games. I'll have to look. So let's pull up the schedule really quick anyway. I wanted to look at this. and just reassess what we all think. All right. Share screen. All right. So obviously Albany, which you would think would be a win, and then Pitt. So, you hopefully can go into Kansas at 2-1. Obviously, you can't look over Pitt, uh, but we're going to be battle tested. That's for sure. you know, but hopefully you can be 2-1 going into Kansas, and we'll see what happens there. But I think we can get the fan base reignited if we can win the next couple games. So I mean, look, the Big 12 is not Penn State. So there's a couple teams in this league that have talent, but definitely not the same type of talent they do. So on defense, they were good. I didn't really. I mean, all their entire secondary played really well today. Neil Brown saying that we had 4 NFL receivers in that room really gave me a lot of hope. But I'm just keeping it real. But we dropped some balls. Cole Taylor dropped the ball. I mean, there was a few. Like Garrett didn't get help either, even though he missed a couple throws. Like I feel like Garrett didn't exactly lose the game either. There was a couple first downs where he was scratching and clawing to make it. Like it was like the margin for error was as low as I've ever seen it. It was like there was no margin. None. No, Andrew, and if you could help me, like I would love. I jumped on here as soon as it was over. So if somebody could update me on the injuries, I would really appreciate that. Stephen Gerrard, hype is holding sweet IL cash. I'm going to read that. Wyatt Milam had full body cramps. Wow. Oh, my tailbone. Goodness gracious. After sitting down for a couple hours and then having to sit here, my tailbone is like, please stand up. Yeah, I don't know, Kelsey. It's wild, man, because I agree with that, but at the same time, I just don't know how good UCF and teams like that are going to be on the back end. Iowa State, obviously. So as the schedule goes along, man, it can get worse or better from here. Like I made this point earlier in the week. When you look at our schedule starting last year, Texas Tech was being picked to win the league by a lot of people. TCU was coming off a national semifinal. They returned a lot of players off that team. Both those teams were subpar, right? But you take those two away from that schedule, and it got a lot easier and looked a lot worse at the end of the year as far as our strength of schedule goes. On the same token, Oklahoma State could, although I highly doubt it, be a worse team than we all think, and so could Kansas State. Like, you just never know what's going to happen. Nothing's ever sure, right? So this schedule could be easier or harder even than we think it is now. We don't know yet, We're going to find out more today and next week especially. So I'm pretty sure that Oklahoma State's going to be the real deal because they had one crazy anomaly. Oklahoma State's doing something right now that'll never happen again in the history of college football. They're starting 5 6-year seniors on the offensive line. I just found that out 2 days ago. 5 6-year seniors on the offensive line. 6-year seniors at that. I've never heard of such a thing. What the hell? Penn State fans are pissed off because we had hope for the game. Grow up. Paul said elitist mentality. Kick me in Ohio State. Yeah, that's really what had me bummed out the most, I guess, is like I get the trash talk, I totally get it. Like all I was doing was making arguments that I could feasibly see for our team. I had questions about the Penn State offensive line going into that game, and I had pet questions about the Penn State receivers, which I still have. They had one receiver show up for that game, which is all they needed. But against tougher competition, maybe that's not going to be the case, right? Although Evans did show up a little bit too. But uh, I wasn't sure how either one of those things were going to work out for them, and I was making points about our team based off last year's data that were at least logical in the moment. So if they want to be mad because we had hope, that's exactly what I'm talking about too. Is like there are Penn State fans that are literally mad today because I was trying to make points why I think we would win the game. And obviously I'm here to eat crow after the fact. It's just the things I get mad about is like saying we stink off the concourse and all that. Jay Bird goes in timeout. Timeout, Jay Bird. Have fun in your timeout. I think so. I think it definitely is. It has to be. Thankfully, they're no Penn State. Hopefully, maybe we'll find out more about them. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I could probably Neil Brown press conference. Let me read another ad really quick, y'all. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps you ride or die. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers and roof racks, exhaust kits, LED lights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply, and eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Okay, guys. I appreciate that, JK. I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, the locked on deal it's been good. There's a lot of pressure with it. Like I already hope I'm not in trouble because I forgot to bring. I didn't use any of the graphics or anything for this. I don't even know if these ads count, but I'm reading them anyway because like I don't have the locked on logo on here or anything, so I'm trying to do the best I can. Because the reason I didn't go live on the locked on one is because I don't have my X account as a destination, and that's like a huge part of the audience that watches the lives for me. So, did they win or lose? I haven't seen any other scores. Let me just look. All right, so elsewhere in the Big 12, let's check it out together. When West Virginia's on, I just don't pay attention to anything else. Cincinnati beats Towson by 18. Iowa State's up by 18 on North Dakota State, 21-3. Okay, yeah, I see that. South Dakota State and Oklahoma State, 44-20. But actually, that's pretty dominant considering South Dakota State's really good, or at least we thought they were. But I see what you're saying. I mean, they did give up some yardage, but you never know how much of this is in what they consider trash time, right? Like at the end of the game, maybe I don't know how this. Let's look at let's see, overview stats, team stats. Okay, oh there it is. So Oklahoma State went up 10-0, 17-6. Yeah, so this game was never in close, really, right? And by the time you get to the third quarter, I'm sure South Dakota State's throwing the ball every play. So a lot of that yardage is really meaningless. You know what I mean? I don't think it's a great representation of what Oklahoma State's defense is or isn't. I mean, they allowed 6 points in the first half, so I wouldn't look too deeply into that, just personally me, because in garbage time, you can get a lot of yardage. All right, so West Virginia, unfortunately, looks like might be the team that screw up the Big 12's undefeated day, huh? Weekend and all that, but we obviously had the toughest test of them all. So I don't know, guys. It sucks. It definitely sucks. But the offensive line's not as good as last year, at least based off what I saw. There was a lot of miscommunication. They didn't get any push, really. The last year's offensive line got push on that Penn State defense, even though they knew we had to run it and couldn't throw it. So, I think that's a storyline. Maybe the loss of Zach is going to be bigger, but this team's going to have to find its own way, do things differently. It can't be like last year, just mash. Oh, yeah, I definitely do, Mitch. I do. He really played well today. Do what I want, Jay. Back to timeout for you, though. Banned and removed. Bye, Jay. All right. Baylor loses to Tarleton State. Dear Lord. How many more mediocre seasons till Browns can't? I think this year will tell the story. I mean, look, it's easy to overreact. I think, like I said, on one hand, this team looked unprepared. They did. They didn't. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs. Maybe they were prepared, but it looked like they weren't prepared to be. And they didn't play well on offense. That's Brown's entire deal. I don't know how much. That's what I was going to do. Let's see if we can see the Neil Brown press conference here. See if we can find it, if it's even out there yet. All right. I'm not seeing it yet. If somebody has a link for it, just let me know. I'll try to find her here, though. Nope. Not seeing it anywhere. That's unfortunate. Oh, well. Sucks, man. But, I don't know. That's the way we got to be about it, Aaron. They're a good football team. On to the next. About Paul, the fact that Brown and Gigi went on Pat's show and talked it up makes it worse. Well, I know, but what are they supposed to do, JDK? I mean, I get what you're saying. It does make it worse as far as from Penn State's perspective. Yeah, and like how they're looking at us or whatever. Like we have to eat more crow because of it. Yeah. But the national exposure we got from that was worth it. We got $1 million. We got a lot of exposure. A lot of people found out about us as far as like maybe people were reintroduced to our fan base. and how amazing it is. Like that's one thing about all this is I'm I'm really proud of the fan base. I feel like they showed up and showed out for this, did everything that we could from our point of view and how everything is. So I'm proud of the WVU fan base. I really feel like they showed out. Curtis, you'll be feeling different next week, brother. You will. We win a couple games. I feel like people would be like, I was overreacting. I'm not going to save you any receipts, though. I thought about it, but I personally feel like this team's still going to be pretty good, but I'm going to get crucified for it. So, I've just been holding off. But I personally think this team's going to be okay. I really do. I'm not happy with the performance, and I don't think we're elite. Like, I'm not saying we're going to win the Big 12, but let's just see how we look against Albany and Pitt the next 2 weeks. I'll make a final judgment by after the Pitt game, because Penn State's a barometer for the top end, right? But I think there is somewhere that we could fall somewhere, I don't know, maybe towards the middle of the country or, I still think we would be a top 25 team. So let's just see. I'm going to get crucified for that, but oh well. His shoulder came out of socket. Okay. Well, that's not good. Yeah, exactly, Obson. I mean, the teams we had then, we were running an offense that nobody knew how to prepare for or had to prepare for except the one game against us at the time, which was everybody runs it now. Urban Meyer ran it back then. I think other than that, maybe I don't think Malzahn was coaching yet, or if he was, I don't know where. But from '05 to '08, we were running a spread attack, but it was a run based spread attack, and just nobody ran that really then. And Rich Rod was one of the fathers of it, so that gave us a huge advantage. Plus our skill talent, we don't have that, Yeah, but I mean, I get what you're saying, but that only matters so much to me. At the end of the day, the talent's going to win out. The better team won out. What's that have to do with anything, David? That's what I'm talking about. Like, this has nothing to do with football. You're just on here being an asshole, even though you've got Final Fantasy stuff in your profile picture. Like, obviously, you sit around and play video games, but you're going to talk about fat people. Get out of here. Your whole family was there? 65 people? Wow. I thought your quarterback was supposed to be good. I don't respond to fanboys that change their literal name to Rory McIlroy. I mean, they also dropped a couple passes that were wide open too, like three at least, that were big chunk gains. So there's it's everybody's fault, not just his. In my opinion, talent wasted. Funny name. I mean, I'm laughing, bro. I mean, just because I just because I respond to something don't mean it's getting to me. Like, I'm going to turn this camera off and go eat dinner. Like, it's not really getting to me. I mean, I'm doing a live stream, so I'm going to respond to it. It's not really that big a deal, though. Yeah, I hope they do too, Pokemon. I hope they do too. But who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be tough. That's for sure. I didn't realize that. Sorry about that, North. I didn't even know you did this. Thank you for the super chat. Very appreciated. I appreciate that. I'm going to read one more ad here really quick, y'all, and then probably going to get out of here. We'll talk. I got a couple of videos I need to make on just the overall, just a couple other storylines I'm kind of holding off on. So we'll see. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by, oops. Okay, there it is. 5 Hour Energy. Tired after lunch? You're not alone. In fact, research shows that more than 70% of the U.S. hits a wall after lunch. Let a 5 Hour Energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. With zero sugar, convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5 Hour Energy website has flavors galore like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and more. There's a flavor for everybody. Try them all. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12 or 24 pack. You choose the flavors and it's delivered right to your door. 5 Hour Energy is the brand hard-working people like you have trusted for 20 years. If you go to 5hourenergy.com, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5 Hour Energy products today. You can use my promo code Locked On College Football to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th, and one order cannot be used with another promotion. This code is good, not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Sorry about that, North. Me too, Michael. I'm definitely disappointed, brother. Okay, man. Good to see you. I don't care, man. Like I said, there's a difference between, as far as me personally, I'll talk about what's on the field, but once it gets to a personal level, that's when it gets to it's just not worth going into for me. Like, it's too much energy to expend over what exactly. 99% of the fan base acts elitist. That's true. Almost everybody from Penn State that I run into, there are a few really good ones, but there's most of them that I've ran into, like, they just love leading into the jokes about Cousins and how just anything, like it's really been. I don't like it. I just don't like engaging with it. I can't. Life's too short to engage with that. Disappointing game, but things can get better. I love WVU for over 40 years. They tend to break your heart, but they can also rise up and make you proud. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I agree. I definitely agree. What are you talking about, brother? Are you that blind? You must be blind. You have to be blind. Go on X right now and just look. It's one thing to talk about on the field and what happened on the field, and that we were all wrong about what we thought. It's a whole other thing. Like, just look at this chat. Like, I was in here saying that West Virginians are mostly fat and under the poverty limit and whatever else. I think maybe they said we were stupid. So I don't deal in absolutes, brother. So all is probably not the right word to use there. Penn State fan base is just wait until midseason and they'll be quitting down as usual. I don't know. I get what you're saying, Mountain Man. Larry, I think that's not what we're asking him to be, I don't think we're asking him to be a pro pocket passer. That's not what this offense is. But, it was a combination of they were really locked up on our receivers today. Like, there wasn't the space that we normally see. And then the windows were tighter. They're not going to be that tight for the rest of the year. So I think that's both things can be true. Like he can be really good in college for us, but is he going to be an NFL player? No, probably not. I've always had that. Like I've always felt like he had the arm talent to make all the throws, but his obviously size is a hindrance. You know, I'm not going to respond anymore, Sam. I'm just not. It's just not worth the energy. It's not, brother. Like what are you trying to argue over here? Die on the hill, then. Good for you. The play calling didn't help Green get moving. Well, I think they were just go to another chat. Just go to another chat. That's all you got to do. I don't need you in here. The play calling didn't help Green get moving. I think for me, man, like when you look at it, they were limited in what they could call. It wasn't like they had the whole playbook at their disposal. They just didn't. I mean, they had a couple things they could do. They could throw it down the seam. That was one thing. And they could try to run it. And once you get behind it, that eliminates one of those things. And kind of we had to become one-dimensional, and they've got two safeties, maybe three, and a corner that are all going to be pro players. We just don't have – our offense isn't built like that. This isn't the Dana Holgorsen kind of passing offense where there's a bunch of like the way he schemed up his receivers in offense is way different than the way Neil does, because it's all based around this passing attack down the field. Penn State knew that. So they took away the run and made us throw it, and unfortunately that sounds so simple, but when you know that's coming, there it is. I can see somebody that doesn't know how to let go of something when like let go of it. It is what it is. You guys are elitist. You act elitist. You look down on people. I just had Zach on here the other day. Like go watch that interview, and then look at the comments. And then go on X. I've bookmarked a bunch of stuff. That's what you wanted, so you got it.